103.5, 1590 WAKR. Time to go to film school. Looking forward to this one. 15 minutes after. I say that every Friday because I love this segment on the show. It's Fridays going to film school with Joe Fortunato, giving us the story of the movie behind the scenes. And certainly it always gets me excited to go back and watch these movies again. And we're going to go back to the mid-'80s this morning. Joe, thanks for joining us again, my friend. Take it from there.
Good morning, Ray. Good morning, everybody. And, you know, on this segment, we tend to, 95% of the time, 99% of the time, we choose movies that are very popular, that have cultural significance, so on and so forth. So I use the word beloved a lot, but I think it really applies today. Today we're going back to 1984, and we're going to talk about the beloved film, The Karate Kid, which was released June 22nd, 1984, directed by John Avildsen, written by Robert Mark Kamen. It did have one Oscar nomination for supporting actor for Pat Morita, who played Mr. Miyagi. And as I said, this is a beloved film. It spawned a number of sequels. It spawned a very popular TV series decades later. And it's, really the career-defining moment for a lot of the actors in this film. The idea came from producer Jerry Weintraub, who had heard a news report a couple years before about a scrawny teen that was being bullied who became a martial artist, and that was sort of the impetus for this film. It was, I talked about it being beloved. It was also very successful. This was a commercial success, grossing over $130 million worldwide. It was one of the highest grossing films of 1984, and arguably Hollywood's biggest sleeper of the year. It was the top rental video the following year in 1985, and the success surprised a lot of American critics, probably surprised the filmmakers themselves because it was a fairly small film. Ralph Macchio plays Daniel-san in the film, and there's a classic automobile that he polishes with the very famous wax-on, wax-off training scene. And later, the producers gave that to Ralph for his birthday, that car, and he still owns it. So Ralph Macchio still owns the wax-on, wax-off car. Pat Morita, who plays Mr. Miyagi, he was an American-born and native English speaker. So, he spoke fluent English. He auditioned a second time after working on a thicker Japanese accent because they weren't sure he was going to be able to pull off the Japanese accent. He also didn't know karate, so a lot of that was being done by stunt doubles. I talked about Ralph Macchio. He's a very youthful-looking actor, still is, even in his 50s, or I'm not sure how old he is today, but he's close to my age. He was 22 during the filming, and a lot of the cast didn't believe him when they asked about his age. And even though they play mother and son, the actress Randy Heller, who played his mother, was only 14 years older than Ralph Macchio in real life. Another actor that was made famous in the film is William Zabka, who plays the bad guy. His character still irks many people, and a lot of people go up to him and try and start fights with him. He has to convince them that it was just a role made for this movie. And the same with Martin Coe, who plays the evil sensei. And he claims that fans of the movies always come up and tell him, "I love to hate you." And so these characters are still resonating today. Talking about William Zabka, I mentioned, he also had no karate experience being cast in the film. He was an accomplished wrestler, but he continued his karate training and actually ended up being a second-degree green belt in the film. And what's nice to hear is William Zabka, Ralph Macchio, and Martin Cove, even though they're very much antagonistic in the films, they're all good friends in real life.
That is a good story. And as you mentioned, the TV show has gone on to greatness. Ralph Macchio, this was, his second role. His first one was The Outsiders, and then him into this role. And I know you like to get into casting a little bit. Was he the clear choice, or were there other choices for this lead role, Joe?
No, as always, there are many other people being considered. Just before I go into that brief aside, this is, I think, arguably his best known and longest running role. And he actually named his real life son Daniel after the role. That's how much it means to him. Talking about casting, Kyle Eastwood, the son of Clint Eastwood. He auditioned for the role, but he didn't get the part, so his father, Clint Eastwood, banned all Coca-Cola products on the sets of his movies because Columbia Studios was owned by Coca-Cola at the time. So talk about Hollywood pettiness there. The role of Daniel was allegedly offered to Sean Penn. Sean Penn turned it down because he was trying for more adult roles. Charlie Sheen turned down the role to star in Grizzly 2, The Revenge, so not a good choice by him. Michael J. Fox was also considered, but he decided to go make Back to the Future instead, so good choice by him. And a number of actors were considered for the role. Again, you know, it always kind of ends up being a who's list of popular actors at the time. I talked about Sean Penn, Robert Downey Jr., John Cryer, Emilio Estevez, Nicolas Cage, and Eric Stoltz, Tom Cruise. These were all people who were considered. And as you mentioned, but The Outsiders, Ralph Macchio was eventually cast on the strength of his performance in The Outsiders, and he went on to live that role in real life. Some other people that were considered in other roles, Helen Hunt and Demi Moore were considered for the role of Allie, which went to Elizabeth Shue. One thing that I really like, this is a bit of trivia, Mr. Miyagi, in 2015, Mr. Miyagi, the character, was inducted into the Fictitious Athletes Hall of Fame as a contributor category. Now, there's two things. One, that's kind of a cool fact. And two, I'm guessing if you're like me, you didn't even know the Fictitious Athletic Hall of Fame existed until just this moment. And it's not a brick and mortar building. I think it's just an internet thing, but it's kind of fun. They have fictitious characters. Their inaugural one was Rocky, as you might imagine.
It's truly if you ever you mentioned Rocky. This is around the same time of the Rocky movies were hitting hard, right, Joe? And uplifting, inspirational things, and this kind of fell into that same realm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true of every decade of movies, but it does feel like the early '80s had what we in Hollywood call a cycle of movies that were like that. That not to get off on a tangent too far here, but the first Rocky was very gritty. By the time we get Rocky 3 and 4, it's very much sort of flag waving propaganda kind of stuff. The same with Rambo. First one was very gritty, and then we get more of that. We have a lot of these sort of bullies and young kids standing up for themselves, Footloose and things like that. So I think that was sort of the mood of the country in the early 80s is, the Reagan era and the Morning in America and that kind of thing. So movies do reflect what's going on in the culture.
All right. Sounds good. Joe Fortunato, film study professor, takes us to film school on Fridays. And quick like it, Joe, we're a month away from our film school on the road at Jilly's for your favorite movie in Jaws.
That is correct. It is really only a month away, and that's going to go fast. So we want to see everybody out there. Come join us for Fortunato Film School Live. That's right, live. We're going to watch a film together. I'm going to do live commentary, and that film is going to be Jaws, one of the greatest films ever and my personal favorite film ever. So you definitely want to see me do that. And like I said, we will watch the film. I will do commentary. I'll point out some fun stories, some mistakes on screen. So if you love Jaws, you're going to want to hear all this information. And God forbid you've never seen Jaws. This is your time to come and walk it through. And that's going to be July 27th at Jilly's Music Room in Akron. And you want to get tickets now. They are very, very nominal at $5. And then you can have a lovely brunch at Jilly's. If you're looking to come, you can either go to Jilly's Music Room website, Google that, and her calendar has it all there, or you can go into Facebook and search for Fortunato Film School Live, and it'll pop up, and the links to get tickets are there. And like I said, you want to get them now because, by the way, the seats are reserved seats, so you want to get your tickets now so you can pick whatever seat you want in Jilly's Music Room.
Yeah, and again, we were packed up in Psycho last October. We've done it also with Raiders of the Lost Ark. This one should be pretty darn special. This is Joe's movie. I can't wait to get up on stage with him. Get your tickets now. All right, Joe, thanks, my friend. Always appreciate it. Good one today with the Karate Kid.